hey there, everybody. It is us again. Kevin and Lisa, we're back talking to you. We've got a few of you with us tonight on this sultry, steamy August night, and it is what day of the week?
It's Marriage Monday. It's Monday.
It's Monday. That means
Which
it's time
is Marriage Monday, yes.
Marriage Monday. So we're grateful that you are here with us.
Yes,
if
thank
you're
you.
live with us, we are especially grateful to have you here. And if you're watching a little bit later, no matter what, where or when you are watching, it's good. We're going to be talking about marriages tonight, as we always do. We're going to talk a little bit about ours, talk a little bit about yours, and the whole goal is that we have positive marriages together.
Absolutely. We always say every week, no matter how your marriage is going or how it's gone in the past week, it's great to come together and have a reset and talk about something positive that we can focus on for the next week and really have some progress in our marriages and kind of have a little marriage maintenance, I like to think about it. That's definitely the goal for tonight. And since last episode, we have had some anniversaries, I know, and some friends of ours, friends of the show, Tabinder and Sherry, had a 25th wedding anniversary. 25 is a big one. That is a big one. So we wanted to wish you a happy anniversary and ask everyone in the chat to go ahead and wish you a happy anniversary too, because that's quite an accomplishment.
You might not be able to see Tabinder and Sherry, but they're faithful watchers of this production that we put out in this episode. We want to say happy anniversary to them. So please, in the chat, say happy anniversary to Tabinder and Sherry as well.
And also let us know if you've had an anniversary. This is a big week, big month for anniversaries, although we discovered last week that it's not the biggest month.
Not the biggest month.
What was the biggest month for anniversaries?
October.
Or for weddings?
Everybody knows October.
Isn't that amazing?
You didn't pay attention to that,
I forgot, yes.
So listen, if you've had an anniversary recently, or if we are failing to acknowledge you, drop that in the chat as well.
Yeah.
And
Tapinder's already saying thank you.
So listen, this is, believe it or not, so when this is being filmed and when this is live streaming right now on YouTube, it is late August for us. No matter whenever you're watching this, that's what day it is for us. And this is our 20th episode of Marriage Monday, of Amazing Love, Marriage Monday. We've been talking now for 20 different sessions and episodes. That means about 20 weeks. Been longer than actually 20 weeks because we took a little hiatus there. So we've been going at this for a while, and I had some people just say to us last week, how do you do it? What is there possibly to talk about in marriages that long? And amazingly, you know, marriages are a many splendored thing and a many complex thing, right? And you can talk about a lot of stuff, and we're really excited about what we're going to talk about tonight. You want to stay around for that, but before we get there, we want to introduce you to someone who's very special to us, and we're going to have him come out and join us. This is our tech pro. This is our guy who has been with us for 20 episodes and made everything work. We're going to mask up as he's going to get close to us.
He is amazing.
And that is, we want to call out, oh my nose, we want to call out Chris Ramos, if he can come out as well. And we're going to talk to him, introduce him to you in a little bit. Of course.
Please give him some love because he is amazing. He is amazing.
And the reason, and you won't ever really know what Chris totally looks like because he's masked up as well. But this is Chris, everybody. Chris Ramos. He's our tech guy. He's behind the scenes. He's in the booth. When we're out here, he's hidden away, safely anti-COVIDed, but mostly he is the guy that makes the magic happen. So we just want to express thanks to him and ask Chris a couple questions so you can get to know him as well.
Well, Chris is amazing. He is, well, you've already said all of that, but also he has an amazing wife, and I'm not sure which camera I'm supposed to be looking at.
This one is where we're going.
He has an amazing wife, Savika, beautiful. We, who are her friends, like to call her Z.
Hi, Z.
And I was going to ask you, Chris, how long, I can't remember, how long have you guys been married?
So come this September, 7 years.
Wow.
7 years.
Amazing. And you have some beautiful children. How old are they?
I do. Daughter that's 4 and a son that is 2 years old.
Oh, man, I'm getting tired just thinking about this, right?
Very tired.
True.
So Tabinder and Sherry is celebrating 25th. You're going to catch them soon, but right now you're much more tired than Tabinder and Sherry, I think. There. Yep.
Wow. Well, What else did we want to ask Chris? I think
Well, I think we wanted to. So Chris has been here right from the start. Some of you have been here from the start. Thank you for that.
Yes,
A few
yes.
of you, God bless you.
Yes, yes.
Others of you, you're just kind of coming for the very first time. We're going to talk about marriage in just a second. But since Chris has been here from the very start, 20 different episodes so far, let's ask him, Chris, what's your favorite episode so far and why?
Yeah, the simple answer is all of them, but
we love
that
you,
won't
Chris.
suffice.
He's doing.
Honestly, I think a couple months ago you were going through a marriage legacy series, right? And it's one class that really got to me was that resonated with me was the giving session that you had. It just allows me to kind of just reflect on my marriage and really what Z and I have always wanted to have it be a legacy of ours, which is to be giving to other people, to be generous, whether it's with our relationships, friendships, families, financially, of time, energy, whatever the case may be. We just really always wanted to be giving in any way and have that be a way to define our marriage.
Wow.
That's great.
That's beautiful.
Well, that was a
thank you for
a
sharing
great
that.
session, and we did we did talk about the importance of giving, and we can certainly say that Chris and Z,
Yes.
Chris and Zavika, they are giving people.
Oh
if
my.
you don't believe that, again, let me say, completely voluntarily, Chris has been with us for 20 episodes, late into the evening with high stress and stuff like that. So we just have to say thank you very,
Yes,
very much
thank you,
for
Chris.
doing all that you do. This isn't a goodbye. He's going to run back into the booth after this. But Chris, thank you so much for
Yeah.
making us look a lot better than we really are.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that. And who knew? You know, underneath that mask is a very handsome man and a very humble man and a man who is one of my personal hair goals. And that is to get dreadlocks. But I don't think that's ever going to happen for me someday. But way to go, Chris. Thanks so
Closest
much.
to Tarzan you'll get.
That's right.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
There you
Hi,
go.
Z.
Is this few seconds of
Are your parents watching?
his few
I
seconds?
have no idea.
Aw.
A few seconds of YouTube glory, but that's actually not true. And here's what I want to say to you before we get rolling here with marriage, talking about marriage. And that is another really great thing that Chris does in service to so many is here in the Milestone family, in our church, our congregation, Chris is overseeing, Chris and his wife Z, oversee and with many other great volunteers, help out with what we call our preteen ministry. So all those kids are in that preteen age. And every Saturday, Chris and some of the volunteers who help out there put out a live stream event Saturdays at 1 o'clock for middle school kids or preteen age kids.
Yeah.
So I'm
Called
saying
di-
this to
called
some
Digital
of you.
Shorts.
Called Digital Shorts. It's really excellent. It's really high quality. And so I'm saying this to some of you because some of you guys know some middle school age kids or preteen age kids who would love to watch this. Hey, put them in front of this. It's a really great use of screen time. If they're going to be on the screen, why not watch this, get encouraged, learn some things as well. Some of you guys are grandparents. Let's make sure your grandkids are watching this on Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoon as well. So Chris Ramos, awesome guy, every kind of guy that you'd like to be if you're a guy. And he also helps our preteens and middle school, so make sure you check that out. Let's keep going, shall we? I'm going to change the slide. We have been in the last couple weeks talking about, since it's August, it's hot outside, we've been talking about marriage in the heat of summer.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Actually, do you want me to recap just kind of what
why
we've
don't
done?
you do that?
So 2 weeks ago, we began with an episode called Idealism is Okay. I love that episode. We had many of you actually send in pictures of some fantastic date ideas. I think we had 30 date ideas that we actually put out on social media the next day. And so if you go on our social media, Facebook or Instagram page, Milestone Churches, you can find 30 date ideas, which is really great. And then last week, we had an amazing episode on sex and sensuality. And that was a really good one. If you missed it, you might want to go back and check that out. That was the last episode, which I guess would be, if this is 20, that would be episode 19.
There
So,
you go.
but we were talking, Kevin and I as well, and just saying how this is a time of year for us anyway right now who are doing this live, where we're kind of transitioning from summer to fall or to the next semester, and there can be kind of a lot of things to do, a little bit of angst with the anticipation, sort of anticipatory stress of what's happening, especially this year with the kids, if you have kids and going to school, and I don't even know when that begins. Does anyone know when? I don't know when school starts this year. So anyway, I'm not
Clearly
in that
we don't
stage
have school-age
right now,
children anymore.
but I still feel that angst of, kind of sad at the end of summer, and yet excitement that there's a new, chapter, new season starting. So I find this time of year can be a little more stressful.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone can relate to what I'm saying. But even with talking about dates 2 weeks ago, and then last week talking about sex and intimacy, I think sometimes we can get really excited about learning how to grow our marriages, but then get to a point where we feel like we're kind of setting the bar high and we're falling, we're falling short of maybe our goals, and there can be disappointment and even as we work on our marriages, sometimes you can kind of feel like, well, let's just stop working on our marriage, because the more we work on it, the more disappointed kind of we get, because the more we learn how we want it to be, and it's kind of less than that.
Yeah, it's so true. We don't know if you guys have felt any of this
felt
before.
any of that, or had any fights, over the last 2 weeks or weeks.
Or some people's brains kind of work this way, where we think, okay, we really worked hard on going on some dates, and that was good. And then we really worked hard on some intimacy. That sounds sort of strange to say.
Right,
really worked hard on intimacy. We really worked on our sex life a little bit. And here now, 2 or 3
expectations kind of start to rise.
2 or 3 weeks later, why are we having problems? Why is there something going? And I think there's this. We just have to be careful of this false belief that there is a way to get everything working so right that no problems ever come. Have you looked around lately? This is the planet Earth. Problems are just going to come, and they're going to come in the marriage. So the issue in our marriage session that we're going to talk about tonight in this episode is, of course, not to talk about that we're going to get marriage perfection, but that we're going to always do our best, always check in every Monday for a little bit of marriage maintenance, get something good, a little so what to apply to your marriage, and you go from there. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, and you don't, and we're going to talk tonight about how to deal with the disappointment because sometimes I think you do just feel like, oh, we're back at ground zero, and you get your expectations higher, sort of get hopeful, and then the hope gets dashed.
Yep. So if you are late in August, if you are been a really good Marriage Monday participant, and you've gone on dates, and you've had some special time with each other, and you're committed to still going on dates and having special time with each other, and still you find yourself bumping and it's kind of not doing well or encountering some kind of problems, that's what we're talking about tonight. Yeah. We want to address that because those kind of rhythms come up. So if we talk a little bit about, let's be idealistic and shoot for the stars, we always got to come back to, yes, but when these happen, you don't give up as well. You keep working on that maintenance issue. And here's what we're talking about tonight, and we're really excited about this.
I love this.
We think you are going to need to hear this. We need to hear this, and there's going to be a really great application for what you need to do in your marriage while you do it. So this is all about having an up marriage. An up marriage. So let's explain a little bit what an up marriage is.
Yes.
And you can check out if you've got an up marriage. If you find you don't have an up marriage, you can have an up marriage in just a couple of minutes from now.
We're going to help you tonight.
So an up marriage is the kind of marriage is when you're experiencing positivity.
Yeah. Absolutely. When you're optimistic, when you meet the challenges in life with okay, let's look up and figure out how to get through this and not get knocked down.
Life is raining, but we're going to smile through the rain.
Yeah.
An up marriage does have idealism in it, having an idealistic sort of view, like the world should be enjoyable, the world should be pleasing. I know this is pushing against what some of us like. Our preference is, I don't ever want to be idealistic, I want to be realistic. And we need to be realistic in life, we're not saying that. But in our marriage, there's always a place to be idealistic, to look higher. We can do better, we can go higher. So we can have an up marriage in that way.
I think you used the word rhythm, and it's so true. Just life knocks us down. It doesn't go the way we plan. We have expectations, they're not met. this is sort of on a day-to-day, week-to-week
Maybe it's just us.
situation.
Maybe it's not them.
Maybe it is just us.
We've just
but anyway, we're just going to assume that you are have some similarities to us, and you need to work on having an up marriage and having an optimism in your marriage that won't be, no fear of bad news, and just able to meet the demands and the challenges and the stresses and stay up.
Right. So our assumption is this, that you have been doing. Look, we don't know everybody, and we don't even know some of you are around the world. We don't really see, but we're just making the assumption, if you've been really trying, if you've been really doing well, if you've been idealistic in your marriage with going on dates and stuff like that, you're probably, if you're anything like this, like us, you encounter these sort of frustrating moments, and somebody in the marriage says, I'm really frustrated. This shouldn't be a problem right now.
Why are we even talking about this?
We should be beyond this now. How are we still here?
Yes.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Is
and
this
often
ever going to go away?
Often one feels it stronger than the other. One really feels like, this is crazy. What is wrong with you, mostly? But but you kind of feel like you're trying so hard and the other one isn't, or those feelings, they come.
So we're letting you into this, and we're talking about tonight, you can, through marriage maintenance, have an up marriage.
Yes.
That's where we're going to go.
Yes.
And we're going to get there really shortly. We might not even go the full hour tonight, because it's so simple, but it's so good. So
Powerful.
We encourage you to kind of listen along and then really do the application.
Yeah.
We already mentioned that we're part of a Milestone Church. We are faith people, so are many who are watching, but not everybody.
Yeah.
We often read a passage from the Bible that applies to marriage. We've got one tonight. We're just about to read it. But before I do, I have this insatiable need to always say this. If you believe in God and you read the Bible, you're going to love this passage. Maybe you already know it. If you're not sure if you believe in God or not, but you're here just to hear a little bit about marriage, it's good. Don't log off. And I just want to say this. With what we're about to read, it's not going to be long at all. But listen to the wisdom in this. Even if you're not sure who God is, if you're not even sure if there's a God, listen to the wisdom in this and go, okay, this could help my marriage. Quite frankly, this could help me as a being, just as a person, as I go through life. So here's our opening scripture, actually our only scripture tonight, and it is from Philippians. Philippians chapter 4 and verse 8. Let me read it for us.
This is worthy of memorization.
It's worthy of memorization.
Calligraphy it on your fridge.
Calligraphy it.
Yeah.
Calligraphy
Frame
it.
it. Many of you have it framed. Yeah.
All right. So here it is. I'm going to read it for you. It's up on the screen. I don't know if you can actually see it. But this is the way to have an up marriage. Quite frankly, it's a way to have an up life. What a great command this is. Finally, brothers and sisters, not gender specific, right? Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Think about such things.
Think about such things, yes.
And so if you want to have an up marriage, as I've already said, if you want to have an up life, just listen to the words that are in this here. Now, can you imagine if you decided, now, please, this is the problem with having marriage sessions together, marriage episodes together. A lot of times we tune in and we're really hoping that this person's listening. Oh, wouldn't that be great if you applied these things? Wouldn't it be great if you became a person who was thinking more nobly and more right and more pure and more lovely? But now just for a second, think about yourself. And what would your marriage be like? Or what would your marriage be more like? How much more enjoyable, is that a word? How much more enjoyableness? How much more enjoyability would there be if you made a decision, this is what I'm going to apply? And of course, you know you can't just apply in your marriage. It's going to cover all across your life. It's going to go into your work. If you have kids, it's going to go into your parenting. If you have relationships with any other human beings, which I hope you do, it's going to go in there too. But can you imagine if some of us could get this passage on straight to really apply in our lives, how much more up we'd see the world?
Absolutely. As soon as you read it, I just wanted to go like this, think about such things. Like this This up here gets us into a lot of trouble.
It's a real gift, this thing.
It's a gift
whatever's
and
in here.
a curse, yes.
A gift and a curse.
And if we were to think about only the things that are noble and right and pure and lovely and admirable, praiseworthy, you know, it's really, really powerful to understand how this, you know, putting this scripture into practice, how it can completely change your life.
Yeah. And you know what's really cool about this passage, which we've taken from the Bible? Surprise, surprise, what we're discovering even in the world of brain science, even in the world of well, I mean, there's just been so much dramatic work done, right, in the last 10 years especially, but especially the last 50 years as we become as really intelligent people, have devoted their lives to understand brain chemistry, and we're learning so much that, imagine this, matches a lot of what comes out of this ancient text called the Bible, especially when it comes to having really healthy marriage. I do marriages a lot where I perform a ceremony, and I talk to young couples about this all the time. This is really an amazing time to be getting married because you're some of the first brides and grooms that ever had the opportunity to really understand how to have a marriage that is just cranking, just awesome. And so the science is in that matches this old dusty text about the way we should live.
Yeah, I think we say that every week, and we love science and we love the Bible. So, you know, I have here just, I'm not going to read it all, but UCLA basically recruited 178 married couples who had been together for an average of 10 years, and they had various scales to research how these couples who saw the importance of seeing and sharing good news to each other, how it impacted the satisfaction of their relationship. Those that capitalized on the positive things in their loved one, you know, all these reports just supported this overwhelming marital satisfaction when you choose to see the positive. And, you know, kind of ignoring the negative seems so counterintuitive, and focusing on the positive instead of, you know, the problems, and it's just so hard to do, especially the longer you've been married. And yet the couples that do this and really capitalize on it, they really have the more fulfilling marriages.
We come up against this so often as we counsel marrieds and as we encourage other marrieds. You'll come up every once in a while with individuals who are so stuck on the negative, so stuck on the frustrating, so stuck, and you can't get out of it. But here's the amazing thing, you actually can, and it's so simple that most of us think, oh, it's just too simple. I can't possibly be, right?
Yeah.
And this UCLA study is saying simply, think about positive things.
Yes.
And express them.
And
think about positive things in that person.
Often we'll talk to people who, you know, my husband, he's good at this, he's good at that, he's, you know, supports the family, does this, but and then this broken record of the things that we're obsessed about that we want to change in our spouse. And rarely does that really work when it becomes that kind of fixation on the negative.
Yeah. It's so true. And by the way, if you subscribe right now, that you'll also not just see our marriage events, but some of the events that we do as Milestone Church. And just this Sunday, one of our really great ministers did a lesson on the those excuses that you make. Yes, but. Yeah. And that really is unhealthy. So it works in marriage too. Yeah. I just wanted to share this idea as well. And this is from a professional doctor, someone who's devoted her life to brain study, but also she holds faith as sacred here. And so she's written a great book. Her name is Dr. Caroline Leaf. But she's just written some interesting things about this, about our brains. Now I want you to listen closely. And this is one of the ways that we can really help our marriages. The harder we think, the more change we make by the way that we think. Here's what happens in our brain. Proteins are made and used, and in doing that, they grow basically new branches to hold your thoughts. So we have an idea coming out here that actually you can change the way you think by literally changing your physical brain. This stuff is, whew, it's amazing, eh? So here's what this is called. It's a process called protein synthesis. So if we don't get rid of thought, if we don't get rid of negative thoughts, for example, then we reinforce them.
Wow.
And if you have positive thoughts, then those get reinforced as well, and your brain grows into it. Those are my words, not hers. So if we don't get rid of thought, we reinforce it. This is quite phenomenal because science is confirming that we can choose to interfere with protein synthesis by our own free will. So if you say can't or won't, so picture this now in your marriage. I don't even want you to think about parenting or work or any other issues you might have, just in your marriage alone. If you say can't or won't, this is a decision of your free will that will actually cause protein synthesis in your brain, and it changes the real estate of your brain. It changes the way your brain works and functions. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, you know that,
and scary.
I heard
and optimistic at the same time.
I heard an expression that reminds me of that neurons that fire together wire together. You know, and I don't know exactly the science behind that, but it just makes sense that you're reinforcing these negative thoughts over and over again. But you can, as you said, get rid of those negative thoughts, focus on the positive, and reinforce those.
Right.
And build a more positive life. Amazing.
So here's where we're at. We have arrived at the moment that we are going to help you. So it's the moment that we're going to tell you that we help ourselves. This is something that Lisa and I do. This is what we do in our marriage. We do it a lot, actually, and we're calling it rewards. Something, it's a process.
It's the rewards system. We're very excited to share with you.
We're unveiling the rewards system tonight.
Decided.
You just made that up right now.
Well, we made up rewards, so
right.
it's reward system.
TM, we trademarked that. This is a reward system.
We really do this, and it has really helped us a lot.
Yeah. And so we're saying to you tonight, this is going to help your marriage. We're convinced of it. It helps ours, and we commend it to you. There are many ways that you can help your marriage. There's many ways that you can think about as these people have done studies. But this is certainly one that we want to just send out across the waves to you. So let's explain a little bit of what the rewards system is all about.
Sure. Okay, well, first of all, I want to really help everyone to understand what we're talking about tonight. Because we talked about setbacks and disappointments and frustrations and all these things. And they can be big or small. So I just was thinking, if you play along with me, maybe you could close your eyes even and think back to a time recently, maybe this week or the week before, where, are you closing your eyes? Good.
I am.
Okay, so think back to a time recently.
I don't have to go far.
Where you really got kind of knocked off your feet, like with something that maybe shocked you even, a disappointment, a setback, like, no, that's not the way this is supposed to happen, or you got really upset about something. And even better if it's something that together, if you can think of something that you and your spouse recently, you got some news or something didn't go the way you planned it, and you just, like one of those things where this has happened recently to Kevin and I, where it took us a good 24 hours to get over the disappointment of what, you know what I'm talking about? Can you think
listen,
okay.
I'm getting depressed. I've been there.
So
everything
anyway,
you've said, I've been able to conjure it up.
And it's very difficult. This recent one that we had,
Can I open my eyes?
Yes, you can.
Okay, right.
But anyway, okay, so I won't go to the rewards yet, but you know that feeling, that awful feeling when you're like something really didn't go the way you had planned?
Sometimes it can be towards each other too, where you get frustrated with each other. That kind of sort of, and we're really talking about up here. When Lisa says knock you off your feet, we're not talking about
Well, I'm just even thinking about life circumstances. You know, it's not always something your fault or my fault, but even just as in the situation, life circumstances can really, beat you down as a couple. And we hate that feeling, right? We work hard to control all the events in our lives so that we never, contact that very gut-wrenching, disappointing feeling.
But we still do.
But we still do.
Can't get away from it, it seems.
So this is what we want.
Tell us about the reward system, Lisa.
So in those moments, Kevin and I will look at each other and say, what is the reward here?
What's the reward?
What's the reward?
When the world starts crashing down, in the worst of our times, when it's frustrating, when it's little things, little irritating things, or big life-altering things,
Small
When
things can be the most frustrating, and then big
Whether
things can be the
your
most depressing.
face is
you know?
red just because you're angry in the moment, or whether there's tears running down your cheeks because it's devastating, this is what we always say.
What's the reward here?
So, what's the reward here? Now,
Which
so for
is
some of
not
us,
easy to do in the moment,
Yeah.
but we're gonna kind of go through it a little bit more and convince you that it works.
Yeah, so some of us think that can be really insensitive in the moment, and we will give you this. You need to discover and learn a little bit through the rhythm of timing. When is the best to like literally driving down the road, a car smashes into you, T-bones you in an intersection, and as you're flying through the air in that slow motion and glass is going here, someone yells, "What's the reward?"
Oh, that's great.
Let's calm it down a little bit. Let's not be so superior. Life's got to happen a little bit, but at some point when you come together again, you've been wounded. And that's where sometimes in these smaller things in our marriage that we get frustrated with each other. And
There's a lot of small frustrations.
Right? The dishes aren't done, or our communication is off. Why don't you understand me? What I said was clear. How can that not be clear to you? These are little things, but they're huge.
Yes.
These things are what people divorce over too. And even in the midst of those, you can say, okay, that was frustrating. But even there's reward. In the terrible things in life, there is reward if you search for it. That's what these studies are telling us. There can be positivity. There can be an up marriage
Because
here.
we buy the lie that it should just be happy all the time. I do. I know that's my personality. I just want it to be happy all the time. No pain, no suffering, no struggle. And that's just not life.
Yeah, that's some serious rose-colored glasses. What do they call it? Pollyanna. It doesn't exist, right? So let us give you a little bit of examples. We're going to, we'll be a little bit vulnerable, but we're going to start with, should we start with
something
kind of a, not
silly.
a,
silly,
not
but
silly. It wasn't silly to us.
It was a setback
We're gonna
for that day.
We're going to let you judge us on what you might call silly, but it was, we're going to show you a picture of a lineup. Now, this is a lineup of a big box store that we had to go to. We decided in the midst of COVID and all of this Zoom platforms and all the teaching that we're doing and participating in on Zoom and stuff like that, we didn't really have an office. We had
a fake office.
We had a
in the basement.
Everybody has something facade this season, right? We had something in the basement akin to a cave. And so we just decided we want to change our office. So we want to go and buy a little bit of office stuff. And so we found a store that many people go to. Not going to say the name of the store, but it's a store where you can get furniture at and to
build the home office.
And it's not necessarily cheap, but what's amazing is they've convinced us to buy it in the box and you can take it home and put it together. It's that store, if you know what I'm saying. So here's what we did. One day we needed to buy some of this and we knew exactly what we wanted. We went out that day. We drove with great optimism. Actually, not entirely. We looked online and it said there is one piece of what you need in a store in a place called Etobicoke, which is in Toronto. There are some documentaries.
And actually, sorry, go ahead.
There are some documentaries on Netflix that call it Etobicoke, but it's actually called Etobicoke if you live here.
Okay, the frustration for me began that this had been gone on for weeks, and we were to receive an email when they got more.
We shouldn't confuse them too much, but yes, that's really true.
We shouldn't confuse them too much, but the office was put together, but the doors were on one. We wanted doors for the bookshelf. We had bookshelf doors on one side, but not the other. And so we were waiting, and I hate things that are left undone. It was undone, and
we went on the internet. We checked whether this item was in the store. We gave them our email. As soon as this item comes in, you're going to email us. We're going to drive. We're going to pick it up. It couldn't go wrong, right? We look. There is one box in a store in Etobicoke.
Yes.
We drive there. Let's sacrifice and drive there. We make the trip.
And it was our long weekend. It was the August long weekend.
It was the August long weekend. Didn't really want to go to the store, but we ended up going to the store.
It would have been a nice day to be at the lake.
We were prepared for a long lineup when we get there, and that's not the picture that's behind us, but I'll tell you the story. So we did go through that line. We get in the store. We go to the place that the box is supposed to be. There's no boxes there. We go back to the people who work in the store. They look in the system and said, there is a box here, but we don't know where it is. Maybe somebody picked it up and they're buying it. So we
There's
have
a big long line for checking out, so it was in that line.
supposedly in that line, if you believe that. So there's a long to-do. So we're not frustrated yet.
No,
We're
because
getting-
because they found another box in another store.
We have another box in another store
Burlington.
in Burlington,
Yes.
which is even farther away.
Quite far away.
So
yeah.
we said,
And the woman said, "Don't go. It will not."
That's true. We
definitely
spoke to the
recommend
woman.
you not going.
we're
as
not
there
good
was-
storytellers together, are we here? I'm struggling to get the story out. You're struggling to get the story out. Long story short is this. We said to the woman, look, is it there? She said, it's probably there. We're going to go there. She said, I wouldn't go if I were you. The same thing that happened here is probably going to happen to you there. I wouldn't go. We looked at each other and said, yeah, what does she know? We're Kevin and Lisa. Great things happen to us. We're positive thinkers. Let's run outside.
We even prayed.
Did.
We even prayed.
We even prayed. We ran outside. We got in our vehicle and we drove. We drove long. We drove hard through traffic, and we came to another place called
Lot of
Burlington,
traffic.
which was far away. And we pulled
Yes.
in the parking lot. One box. We know it's in there.
And
Don't
I
worry
thought-
about a thing. And you saw what when we pulled into the driveway?
Well, I thought we're going out of the city, so there'll be less of a line.
That is what you said.
Oh,
Out
my
of the city,
goodness.
fewer people.
Oh my goodness.
And we pulled in and we saw
Wrong.
this line. It looked very similar to Canada's Wonderland or Disneyland
Yes.
or any of these places you've gone
Ridiculous.
to where
Yeah.
where the lines are made to be deliberately deceitful, if you know what I'm talking about. You get in the line and you go a weave around and you think, oh, surely we're there. You come around a corner and there's another hour wait.
It was so hot
It was
too.
one of
we
these
were
lines.
we
And
couldn't
here's
wait
what-
to get under this shaded part. We were
When-
45 minutes
let's
before
talk,
we got there.
Let's talk more importantly than the issues you
yes.
want to give. How did you feel?
I was so upset.
Lisa-
I was very unimpressed.
Really unusual for Lisa. If anybody's going to get upset, sarcastic, cynical, down, morose, bleak, dark, grumpy, snotty, it's usually
I couldn't
me.
believe it.
But
I couldn't
Lisa
believe
just
it.
went
You should have seen
down.
this line.
She was not a happy person at all.
And I had my iPad out and I kept checking to make sure the boxes were still in the
That's
store.
right. We kept checking, and it said the box is in there. The box is in there. And I said, okay, we've come this far.
But
Here
we
was my
wasted
logic.
so much gas. We had to.
We've come
stay.
this far. We've got to stay. You said, no, let's go. I'm not
That's
staying.
true.
I am not going through. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, we're going to stay. And here is where we started. And this is where we came up
I wanted
with
to
the idea
finish
to
the office.
teach you guys about reward. Because we were even there saying, okay, this is absolutely lousy. What could be the reward here? Lisa wasn't in the mood to play the reward
I
game
was
totally
not.
right away. I took a picture of us. That's us there. It was such a hot day that day, and we're all out in the sun, and we're all sweating and miserable, and there's all this, the thing. Like some people should have their masks on. They don't have their masks on. There's that added stress. And as we would go through these lines, just to get in the building, Lisa was like, "Let's leave. Let's give up." And I just kept saying, "Nope. Let's." Unlike me, I kept saying, let's
well,
go.
halfway through, you were like, "Should we go?" And at that point, we'd gone. I was like,
Yeah,
"No,
we've
we're
gone
committed.
this
We've
far.
gone, over
Yeah.
half an hour.
And then we finally got close to the building, and there was a little bit of shade, and it's like, well, we've made it this far. Okay, this is now a long story, and that's why the saying says, to make a long story short, let's now make this story short. So we finally got inside. The first thing we do when you get inside, after you spend 2.5 hours in a line with a few hundred people that aren't happy, is, well, what we do is we use the bathroom. Okay, so we got inside, we used the bathroom. Then we came out, we met up, we know exactly where the box is. Don't go through the long paths that this store has, run right to the warehouse. We got our cart, we ran right there. Now this, you gotta remember, this is now the better part of our whole day for a long weekend. You
goodness.
get 3 days
It
for
was
a
a
long weekend.
beautiful
This day
day.
was shot. We run right to the spot. There's another little old lady and her daughter coming up behind us, and they're running down.
we all start kind of running for the same spot.
We think that they're running for this spot to get our box. They think we're running to get their box. Here's the long story. Coming to a close, we got there. No box.
No box.
No box. we go back to the people and we say, you know, it says it's in stock here. And they're like, yeah, but what can we say? It's not here too. And we drove home that day with no box.
That was painful.
Wow, that story was painful, to say it
painful.
again.
Yeah.
And so
Sorry
what we
about that.
did is we said to each other, all right, what are the rewards? What are the rewards? And what were some of the rewards we said?
Well, as you mentioned, I was not in the mood for it at that point in time, but the first thing you said was, well, we can stop judging people who stand in those lines when we drive away and don't go in because we see the line.
Here's a great reward.
And
by nature, anytime I drive by stores or these kind of malls or these places, you know what I mean, outlet malls and stuff like that, and you just see thousands of people. You see cars lined out the parking lot.
Yeah,
I'm totally judgmental when I see that. I'm like, what kind of people are these people?
Never judge.
What
never
is
judge.
wrong with these people?
You always end up doing the thing you judge other people
got
for.
no priorities. They're all over the. I don't respect these people. And then, lo and behold, on a long weekend, you know something. There's a reward. Stop being so judgmental. What goes around comes around. Maybe some people are in these lines because they're just like you, doing something noble with integrity, right? And all the people driving by are looking at you going, what kind of person is that? So there's a reward.
But halfway through, we did say a reward could be, this could be used, you know, when we talk about this Marriage Monday. And so we took these pictures, but in my heart, I was like, I hope we don't use these pictures on Marriage Monday, because if we got the doors, we would not have used this picture.
That's right.
Anyway.
So listen, that was kind of a silly example,
Very
but
silly.
It was
Very
just
silly.
so profound for us that, and we get it, right? First world problems. Driving to a store to get something that is arguably just a complete luxury.
Absolutely.
Our bookshelf needs doors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Give me a break, right? But it turned into a very frustrating day, and it turned into some tension in our marriage.
Yes, because I also had this tension because I felt like you were enjoying my discomfort. Because I'm usually the one trying to be all positive, and I was
She's
like,
wrong. I wasn't. But this is another thing. This is a Kevin and Lisa freebie. We've said this before in other episodes. We'll say it to you again right now. We take very seriously this in life. When one person goes down, the other person stays up.
Yes.
And it's just something we take seriously. You've got to hear me when I say I was not happy at all about what was going on. I was frustrated. It was a waste of my day. Blah, 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 blah. But Lisa chose to be the person who went down first. And so it was out of my hands. And so I was trying to be this out-of-body experience kind of, hey, let's stay. Hey, let's turn this into an adventure. Maybe we'll teach Marriage Monday someday because of this. I was an idiot, but I was going to stay up in our marriage because we want an up marriage. And that one, there's always one person that kind of puts us up, right? Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind as you have your marriage with each other.
Yes.
You know, and it can't always just land on one person's shoulders. Like, I'm always going to be up and you're allowed to be down all the time. That's not the way it works, right? So as we talk about that, we've talked a little bit about this sort of first world problem-ish thing. Now let's get into the real. Let's get into real issues in life. And you know, and by the way, maybe you can jump in the chat and just tell us, share some other rewards that you see just in the story that we told. Yeah. Because it's a safe kind of story. It's not talking about really any ugly, you know, we didn't volunteer any of those. So Lisa mentioned that in our life, we're not perfect. We've had recently even some real issues that were very disheartening, very harmful, very hurtful. And we've searched for the rewards there. We've not shared those with you. Those are kind of personal, but we just did this IKEA thing. Maybe there's some rewards that we're not seeing there. And by sharing it in the chat, maybe you can teach each other, this is the way you see rewards. Some of you are gifted in this more than others. Some of us need to be taught and learn this. But when it comes to problems and setbacks that couples have in their marriage, I mean, there's, you know, like the list is as big as the planet, right?
I mean, we have pain that we share as a couple, but when we see our kids go through pain, that's something we share as a couple too, right? Your kids have situations that are not enjoyable for them, it's like it's on you as well.
Yeah.
So those are like looking for the rewards in that can be so challenging.
Yeah.
And yet even teaching.
But what's the answer here? Even in those situations, whether you have adult children or small kids at home, when you see your kids in pain, it doesn't change, right? But there is a reward there, even through that.
Wow.
There's
It's
lessons.
a whole mind change.
Exactly.
Really, it's a
Yeah.
whole. It's grabbing for a perspective that empowers you in those moments when you feel so weak, and you can.
It's
you can
protein
really,
synthesis.
It's possible. It's totally possible to do it. Yeah.
So you've got issues
What
with
other
kids.
kinds
If someone in the marriage, or even both, if someone in the marriage loses a job, this is very challenging.
Yes.
Like we're now saying,
yeah.
move from the. I said IKEA, didn't I? I said I wasn't going to say IKEA, but
Oh,
I said
dear.
it. All right. So we're moving from this big box store story to real life, real challenges that come, and right now. Maybe just sort of glance at each other if you're sitting with your spouse, with the person that you pledge to go through with life, and you sort of can just look at you. May not even have to say it, but you know, in the last little while, you know what we're talking about here. And can you, maybe when we sign off in just a few minutes, can you, with the remainder of the time that's left over, can you spend a little bit of time and go, okay, remember that happened? Remember that visit to the doctor just recently? Do you remember that job situation? Do you remember that fight that we had? Do you remember how you said this to me? Whatever it is.
Or you were late. You're always late, and that was
any of
so
those.
disappointing.
So what if you take a few minutes and say, all right, what are the rewards there? We're saying to you that we commend this to you, that it is hard to do, absolutely. Sometimes it's frustrating to do. Sometimes one of the people go, I don't want to do this right now. But if you do it, something starts to happen that we think is a benefit and can be a benefit to your marriage. There's another thing too that we've not really hit on. We've got these problems in situations with couples, but sometimes we have them individually towards the other.
True.
Especially as we've talked about going on dates together. We've talked about sex and sensuality in the last few episodes. So, how about the frustration of, I thought we were going to have sex tonight. I thought this was planned. Didn't you even mention? Didn't we kind of agree? Or didn't we send out the subtle signals? Didn't you see me vacuuming today? Doesn't that mean something? And it doesn't happen. This is a great time for you to individually say, and I know, I just talked about sexual frustration, right? Is there a reward in that? Yeah, there can be. I'm not saying that should happen, for weeks on end, but if things don't go your way, what if you search for the reward as well?
It's really like the card that you read. We can visualize and we can speak into existence kind of the reward, really. You can just decide, this is the reward, I'm claiming it, and this is what's going to be great about it. And who's to stop you from just deciding some positive thing or aspect in whatever situation? It doesn't erase the difficulty or the challenge, and some of the things are, as you say, we have mourning, which is normal, but we're talking about really having that mind change, that perspective that's just always working hard to not be a victim to circumstance, not be a victim to your expectations, your disappointments.
So let us bring in some of the great ideas that you guys have shared, because I'm not convinced that everybody who will be watching this later will be able to see the chat. And so there's a lot of wisdom just in what we're trying to give you some here, but we see already that so many of you are not just accepting this commendation, but you're seeing it, and maybe you live this out yourself. So some great rewards that come out of searching for rewards is that that you display humility when you search for a reward, and God rewards that like nothing else.
Yes.
That you learn to be patient. Imagine that as a reward. So here we are frustrated, or here we are arguing, but we choose to stop arguing and, sorry about that bump, sorry about that frustration, sorry I lost my temper. Is there any reward for what just happened, honey? Imagine that we've become more patient
Yeah.
with each other. That's a great
Can
one.
I read one?
Yeah.
Stuart's just saying maybe the reward will be that you'll listen to the experts like the store clerks who know better than you do.
Yeah.
That's a great reward for us with our situation.
Yeah, that's right. Learn, right?
Learning,
Learning,
yes.
and under the learning category, learning to be content, understanding that some things happen for a reason.
Yes,
Ramsey
yeah.
says that. So what a great point
Yeah.
this is. And that's how you can be willing to visit. So can you see, as we begin to bring this to a close on Marriage Monday, can you see if it's, whether it's protein synthesis that's happening here,
Yeah.
or whether it's just learning to be a more well-adjusted person in life and in your marriage,
Yeah.
that this kind of behavior is so very important, and it creates an up marriage. Here's what we've learned. Creating a down marriage is easy.
Yeah.
Creating a down marriage is the usual. Creating a down marriage doesn't take very much effort.
Yeah.
Right? You just
No.
have to let go, and the chaos begins to happen.
You know, this is a real up comment right here. I have to read it. Shannon says, the reward can also be that you're going through something together and it bonds you.
Boy, I hate that.
That's
Yes, it's
awesome.
a good one.
That's a very good one.
You're in the midst
Yeah.
of gross, crunchy, angry, sickness, any of that, and go, oh yes, we're bonded
Yeah.
together.
Someone else says hardship breeds growth.
If some
yeah,
of you are thinking,
that's awesome.
I'd rather be
That's awesome.
bonded by
You're getting it.
I'd rather be bonded
We're all getting it.
by going sailing on a catamaran with you. I'd rather be bonded by, yes, we'd all rather be bonded that way, but that's not really how bonding happens. That's a really great point.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And the stories are much more meaningful later on when you remember those really important moments where you grew together through blood, sweat,
even
and
if
tears.
the stories are long and painful to tell, like ours. Yes, it's so true. So here we've come to the end of another episode of our Marriage Monday. It is our late August series here.
Yeah.
A lot of our regular viewers are not with us, but those of you who are loyal and thought you'd join us tonight, we're so grateful
Thank you
for
so
you.
much.
And remember, tonight's topic is all about having an up marriage. And how do you do that? Always ask yourself,
What's the
is
reward?
the reward?
Yes.
When we go through a challenging time, do it this week. Do it tonight after you're done here. Look at each other and say, okay, what happened earlier today? What
Yeah.
happened yesterday? What we're going through with our kids? What we're going through with my job? Is there any reward there?
And if you can find more than one, don't fight about the reward. There can be lots of rewards. That's the goal.
If there's any reward,
Yeah.
find it. It will help your marriage. And it'll help you as a person.
True. Yes.
But it's all about your marriage here at Monday
Yeah.
Marriage.
What a great.
We're going to have another episode 7 days from now. Since it's called Monday Marriage, it's Mondays that we show up, and we'll be back next week.
Monday
we hope
maintenance.
you
Yeah.
will join
Yes.
us
Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
marriage
We
maintenance
really appreciate you all.
next
Thank
Monday.
you.
Good night.
Good night.